Welcome everybody. In today's video, I am going to show you an ALTOIDS tin survival kit. Let's take a look at what's inside. Nothing! That's because we're going to build it. We're doing this on the fly here in this video. I have not really thought this out too well. We're just going to take a normal ALTOIDS tin, not sponsored. And no, I did not eat all the candies. I stuffed them all off to the side and haven't eaten them in months. But we have the tin, and I have seen people doing an ALTOIDS tin survival kit. And I love the idea because it's pocketable. If you close up the kit, it fits in your pocket nicely. And the stuff inside that you fit inside can usually be big enough to do stuff with in an emergency survival situation. Will it be comfortable survival? Not necessarily, but you will live. Survival is not dying. So, starting off with some small items here that I think will start this thing off nicely. We have a Victorinox Mini Champ, which, as most of you know, is a very capable small army knife. We have a Rovivon Aurora A3. We have a ferro rod. We have, let's throw in a little bit bigger, let's throw in like an individual knife. We'll take the Opinel number 4. Nice size. Kind of a standalone knife. Tweezers for pulling out splinters on the go. Personally, for me, you can't go anywhere without like a dedicated nail trimmer. Now, yes, I've gone months using just this guy here to trim my fingernails. I love it. But let's throw in a little extra. I could throw in my Wazoo Gearco sharpening stone. No, I am not going to take the time to untie this from this leather here. It's kind of hard to tie and untie once it gets a little bit worn. But we have a ferro rod, ceramic striker, and a sharpening stone that would also fit wonderfully inside this container. Personally, I think a small clamp like this would be very useful, because there's going to be times where you want to hold something down and you just don't have the third hand to pinch something together while you do that. Nine-Ties S-Beaner to hold stuff together. Throw in some Band-Aids and close it up, and we have already a decent little survival kit. Yes, it could have been packed better, but just kind of as a flying by the seat of my pants initial stuffage here, I think that was a pretty good start. And, you know, to me, this takes care of the basics, immediate basics. We have ferro rod and a striker, so to speak. So we have ways of making a fire. Also, ways of trimming small kindling down to make fuzz sticks to make the fire starting easier. Because, admit it, yes, it's nice to have a commando saw. Yes, it's nice to have a full-size multi-tool with a saw. But let's be real here. You can usually break the wood to this campfire size. You don't need to be perfect in every aspect. We have a light source that if you don't use the high mode, if you just use the low modes on this, you've got long usages of that just in and of itself. That can get you through seeing a little bit into the nighttime. Because you're not going to be up all night. You're going to be out a little bit past dark, probably looking for some firewood or looking for some fish or something in a creek to stab with a little spear that you can, because you can take like a small stick, not a small stick, but a long skinny stick, and use this to sharpen a point to make yourself a suitable fishing spear for small fish. You don't need to catch the biggest fish in the river. And then we just have like general utility, you know, scissors for small snip stuff, 2 knives. Some people call that an awl. I call it a knife. We'll go with that. Various little tools that I find very handy. The clamp, like I said, because you don't always have a third hand to hold something small together. And throw in the sharpening stone to maintain your stuff, because you may be out for a week and you need to keep your stuff sharp. So that's package 1. Package number 2. Let's amp up the light source a little bit with an Olight i3T EOS. A lot bigger light. Not as bright as this, but you have AAAs. You have a AAA in this that you can probably find some, looting around somewhere, Again, let's try not to use the original stuff right off the bat, aside from the bandages. You always need a couple band-aids, from my experience. Let's do this. Olight. Nope, that's not going to work. That's too fat. So, quick little tidbit there. The Juice XE6 is too fat for the height of the Altoids tin. Let's try the Juice CS4. We pop that in there, do that, stuff the band-aids kind of in between, close that down, and again, we have a decent, I'm not saying it's perfect, but we have a decent little kit here. We have immediate bandages. Save those for your fingers, because you're going to be grabbing stuff and you need to have your fingers, your hands protected. If it's on your arm, you could probably do without the band-aid for the moment. But the CS4, fantastic, almost full-size needle nose combo pair of pliers with good wire cutting capabilities. We have Phillips driver on the inside. We have the 3 flatheads on the inside. Outside tools, we have a corkscrew. No one would have a cork in a survival situation, but this would be good for getting into a knot to undo the knot. We have quote-unquote bottle opener, can opener. Haven't really tried this on a can yet. Not sure how well that works. We have a reamer awl with a little sewing needle hook on there for stitching your stuff up back real quick. Fantastic. I do love that. A phenomenal wood cutting saw. This will be great for breaking down the kindling and tinder for your campfire. A pretty decent sized plain edge blade. Wonderful to work with there. And most importantly, spare set of scissors. And these work really good as scissors. They don't cut everything, but they cut a lot of stuff. As with most scissors, they're not perfect, but they do function quite well. And I will throw in the ferro rod just to get your campfire started. You can use the back of the saw blade to create sparks, which is quite nice to see when it's done fairly decently. Take the back of the saw blade here. There we go, got some sparks. And then we have a decent flashlight with decent brightnesses for seeing in the dark. Don't need to light up the whole world, just need to see where you're going. Fantastic little set there. Moving on to the next round, let's go with a Swiss Army knife. This is a full 91mm Swiss Army knife. So knives like the Cadet and maybe the Pioneer, I'm not sure of the dimensions on those right off the bat. Those I think might be the 89mm, and those would be a little bit smaller, and probably more, or 84mm, whatever they are, and more capable of fitting inside this than this would be. But as you can see, this does actually fit, and it does actually close. This is a Victorinox Deluxe Tinker. I love this for a survival situation because while it lacks a saw, it has a decent hefty pair of pliers that can act as a pair of tweezers for pulling out splinters, just stronger than your fingertips when you're trying to manipulate stuff. We have 2 knife blades. We have a small knife blade, have a large knife blade, have a pair of trusty scissors. Victorinox quality is top-notch on scissors. Kind of a pseudo pry bar for prying apart dead wood and stuff. Probably great for that. Tweezers, like small tweezers, toothpick, the small tools across the back. I'm not really going to show you all of them. I will show you the awl for woodworking. If you guys are watching my channel, you should know what a Swiss Army knife has in most regards. If I have one that I think has a funky tool that you may not be able to tell right off the bat, I'll try to bring it up, but bear with me. Again, the Olight fits, so that's 2 large tools that already pack up a lot of space here. Throw in a ferro rod, and you might be able to finagle this in if you took the clip off the Olight, but that's really not fitting anywheres inside there, especially with the depth of the container. But again, we have an emergency fire starting shelter making kit. And some of this, I'm sure you could add a small bundle of twine, small paracord, normal paracord, etc., as like a lashing to assemble a tent or some sort of thing. I forgot the tweezers were in there. They were still in there. Tweezers fit. You can always throw in a small tool like that. The Leatherman Style CS, PS, whichever model you have. A Zippo lighter, always handy. Even if you don't have the fuel, you still have the sparking capabilities. If you find like a dry cattail from a swamp and break it open, that's fantastic tinder right there. So a small lockpick set, fantastic. It does fit in there. It's the leather that's being a little finagly there. That's always good to have in a survival situation. So that's like random kits, but the main purpose of this video that I kind of want to see is like what knives that I have do fit, don't fit, okay? As we saw earlier, the Victorinox, normal sized Victorinox, 4 layers or skinnier, 4 layers or less will fit. And if you get an ALOX version, you might be able to bump that up to a 5 layer if they make a 5 layer ALOX version. This does not fit because it's just too fat this way. This does fit quite wonderfully. It's that. Also, the SOG Power Pint fits in there quite nicely. The Olight i5R does not fit in straight, but it does fit in at an angle, and if your main priority is light and small accoutrement, like so, you have a decent kit. I wanted to bring that up earlier, but I forgot. But the SOG Power Pint fits wonderfully, and with room to spare on the side for extra gear. Leatherman ratchet, and this doesn't have to be for a, emergency survival necessarily. You could cut the tops off the Leatherman bit kit there, and you have like a mini bit toolbox of sorts, which is nice to have. The Benchmade mini bug out does not fit straight, but it does fit at an angle, and being flatter, narrower than most, you can put stuff on top of it and get away with it. Like you can put a Victorinox on top of the Benchmade, and you have that room there to work with. Another good knife that I would recommend for a survival tin is the Boker Atlas Multi. This thing is fantastic for immediate bushcraft needs and even EDC in general. It has a nice large blade. Comparing this to a Victorinox blade, it is a little longer, it is a little thicker. It's just a nicer blade to work with in general, in my opinion. And then we have a jumbo pair of scissors, which work absolutely wonderfully. Now you only have those 2 tools on this. You don't have a can opener, bottle opener, awl, reamer, etc. But what it does have, it does wonderfully, and it fits inside the Altoids tin. So I would recommend the Boker Atlas Multi. Another funky one that I would suggest is the Bird Robin 2. That fits inside quite nicely, with room to spare on the side, and that is a fairly decent, large-ish knife blade to whittle fuzz sticks, to make a spearhead, to do various things around the campsite. It's just kind of, it's probably the biggest single blade pocket knife here. I know the others have a longer blade, but there's something beefier about this compared to this. That's just user preference, but you know, keep that in mind. This knife does fit. Another flashlight we have is the Maglite Solitaire. That fits inside very nicely. So, you know, when you're packing your Altoids tin, and let's say this is going to be in the backpack, in the glove box, something that you don't necessarily carry on you, but is on hand when stuff goes belly up, okay? Let's say you're on a camping trip, your car slides off the road in the Rocky Mountains, you're not too badly hurt, you know, like you're going to live if the ambulance doesn't get to you on time. But let's say you've got to camp out overnight. What is your overnight immediate stuff? Now, I know Band-Aids aren't going to be enough in a car wreck, but I'm just saying, like, what if something unexpected hits you and you got to, like, go off the grid for a day or so? Can you make it for a day or so with the stuff in this box? And I'd say, amongst all the gadgets here, some variation or another of this, you have the stuff needed to continue with your life. Now, this is an Altoids tin. There's other metal tins out there. These sun-kissed sours are basically just an Altoids tin with a little bit more texture on the lid. Pretty much the same depth as well. You're not really coming out ahead on thickness there. But what's nice with these is Altoids come in like 3 or 4 different colors. Well, now you throw in a 5th color having orange. If you want to have like just a fire kit, just a medical kit, you can color coordinate your stuff. And again, you know, various stuff fits, various stuff does not. You also have these vertical Altoids tins with the lid that pops open like so. Olights, most Olights do not fit. The Maglite Solitaire does not fit. The Rovi Von Aurora does fit. The Mini Champ fits inside quite nicely. Throw in a ferro rod. Throw in your big pair of tweezers. I like to throw in a pair of nail clippers just for personal hygiene. Throw in a second ferro rod. What the heck, you know? Toss one in. Kind of sits on top. This would fit if you took out some of the stuff, if you didn't want to carry all of that gear. Those are too tall to fit, but you could trim down the lock picks to fit the case. But again, a decent little pocketable, if necessary, kit that has much of what we would need to get through a night. You have a fire starting source here with the knife and the striker. You have a splinter removal. It just bugs me. Like, this is more of a fidget toy than to keep my fingernails down, but you know, fingernails are fingernails. You gotta keep them trimmed. I'm not the kind of guy that likes long fingernails. Just me. Sorry. And then you have a flashlight that, if not used on high a lot, can get you through a few days on one charge with no worry about it running out of charge. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you an idea of something that you could do for a glove box backpack survival kit. And again, I emphasize, you know, why you don't need just one. You know, you can get a bunch of these and have like a medical kit, fire kit, tool kit. Spread it around. Have one in the trunk, have one in the glove box, have one in your pocket, one in your backpack. Mix it up. It's personalizable. Do what you want. And if you want to secure this from opening up, you could just get some hair bands, some elastic hair ties, and wrap it around the thing. That'll work. You can take some electrical tape, perhaps, kind of wrap it around. Electrical tape makes a great band-aid material. So I hope this helps you with some of your ideas. I hope it inspires you to try something. If nothing else, I just hope you enjoyed spending time watching me see if I can fit stuff into a box. So, with that said, not sponsored by any of these brands here. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you in the next video. And until then, farewell, carry well, and bye-bye.